Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video, we can take a look at what sort of PC you can put together for a budget of around about £700 in July of 2025. Now, this is going to be using all brand new parts, which are relatively easy to come by, at least they are as of today's recording date. But as a kind of special bonus towards the end, we'll talk about a PC which is actually considerably better and actually £1 cheaper, which I've built using used and new parts, like a combination between the two. So potentially if you watch this and you think, well, this is AM4, bit of a spoiler there, then you may want to go for AM5. You can get a better PC by shopping around, which is pretty obvious, but we'll talk about that more as we go through it. So today's video, we're going to go through, take a look at PC Part Picker. We've got a selection of parts on the desk here, some of which are ones which I would endorse myself and ones I actually buy. There will be some other ones which are going to be in the listings, which are things which you can still get, but again, it depends where you are, where you're shopping, and what is available at the time of purchase. So with all that said, let's head over to the computer and take a closer look. So we've got our PC part picker listed. This will be in the video description as well, as will most of the links to these various parts, and also potentially some alternatives. And also, like I said, there will be a link to the live stream build we did for the AMD Ryzen 7 7700 build we did, which actually comes in roughly about £1 cheaper than this entire build. So it doubles up on the RAM, better graphics card, arguably, and also, yeah, better processor. It's definitely an option. Anyway, let's go through some of our parts. So for our CPU, we're going with something a little bit modest. So this is the Ryzen 5 5600, 3.5 GHz base clock, 6 cores, 12 threads. Currently here in the UK, this is available for £87.60. Now, I would actually say, if you are considering going down this route, if you want to save even more money, over on AliExpress, I actually picked up the same processor. It was a OEM, or kind of non-warranty version, if you want to look at it that way. Very hard to return should anything go wrong, but you can save a considerable amount of money. I paid around about £57, I believe, so around about £30 saving. So maybe if you want to save some money, that potentially is an option. So next, we've gone with the cooler. Now, obviously, if you get the retail version, that does come with a stock cooler, which is fine. It works a little bit on the noisy side, and maybe if you want to get your temperatures down, then using something like the Thermalright Assassin X120R Digital ARGB is definitely a good shout. Now, this one actually comes with some illumination on the actual fan itself, as you can see there, and also it has an LCD segment display there showing your CPU temperatures. Now, you may or may not want that, but again, for £15, I think this is fantastic value for money. It's a decent looking cooler and will do a great job on this processor and potentially other processors should you wish to upgrade later on down the line. Now, obviously, because we need a motherboard for this, we have to choose something which is making sense. So I've gone with the Gigabyte B580 Gaming X V2. We've seen this one numerous times on the channel. It's a really good option, covers all the bases. Now, sadly, one thing it doesn't have, which I would have liked to have seen, is built-in Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. But other than that, it's a great board. PCI Express Gen 4 support for obviously graphics cards and also for M.2 drives, that kind of thing. 4 RAM slots, and it's actually quite a nice looking board. You've got all the right features there. Got a nice big heatsink. You've got integrated I/O shield there. Again, 4 RAM slots, AM4 compatibility. Multiple PCI Express slots there, so if you want to put in a secondary card for some reason, you can do. It's got things like front mounted USB Type-C, and also it has the USB 3s down there as well. Nice little board and fits in well with a relatively decent price at the moment. So currently this is retailing for just under £90. Another honourable mention, which I think we should mention at this price point, would also be the MSI B550 Gaming Plus, which hopefully you're seeing here. I generally keep one of these in stock at all times. They're really handy boards, very good price generally, normally under £100. And being the AM4 is kind of coming to an end now, you may find some significant discounts. Now, again, we've mentioned AliExpress already. Potentially you could pick up a B550 board from AliExpress. I would be slightly hesitant and probably try and go for some of the premium or known brands, such as your MSIs, your Gigabytes, your Asus, ASRock, etc. Some of the boards on AliExpress are of, well, slightly unknown origins, and also when it comes to things like bath support and that kind of thing, then you may be left slightly wanting. Now we're going to come on to memory. So at the moment here in the UK, the Lexar Aries kit, the RGB 16 gig, CL18 3600 mega transfers, is currently $33.98, which I think is a pretty reasonable price, and they look pretty nice as well. Got a nice bit of RGB bling on there, so that's going to look very nice in your system. Now again, with this, there's going to be other honourable mentions, such as the Corsair Vengeance LPX. Those are generally available for very similar prices. Again, if there's offers on, sometimes it can be a little bit cheaper. So if you like the Corsair RAM, that's always a good choice. Or potentially, if maybe you wanted to upgrade slightly, then you've also got the options of the Orico brand, which we've seen recently on the channel. They have their Radeon Racer DDR4 kit, which is actually a 32 gig kit. So again, double the size RAM. If you want to pay a little bit more extra money and double up on your RAM now rather than doing it later, then the Orico ones are actually well worth a look and very competitively priced, both on AliExpress and also available on Amazon pretty much worldwide. Next, we're going to come to our storage. So with this, I've gone with the Kingston NV3 1TB. This is the M.2 PCI Express Gen 4x4 drive. This at the moment here in the UK, you can get for £48.38. Again, there's going to be other options. The Kingston is nothing particularly special, doesn't come with a heatsink, so you will be taking advantage of the motherboard's built-in or included heatsinks. Again, as with anything, there's going to be lots of other options around. This isn't an advert for Orico, but I have seen recently their IG740 Pro drives. These are really good, considerably faster as well. You're looking at 7,400 megabytes per second transfer speeds. You will pay a little bit more for these, but certainly very good drives in my opinion. And for things like gaming, it's going to be absolutely fine. Of course, if you want to, you can always go for a SSD, a SATA-based one, if you can find one cheap. But certainly, I would have a shop around, see what's available in your area. Generally, the Kingston NV3 drives are available at pretty competitive prices, pretty much universally. So next is the graphics card. Now, obviously, if you watch the start of this video, you'll notice that we had a different graphics card on the actual display. And there's a very good reason for that. So we've got a couple of options here. Now, I would suggest if you're buying or building a new PC in 2025, if you have the budget, I would strongly suggest for going for a graphics card which has more than 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Now, this is becoming more of a problem as newer games are coming out. So with this, we've splashed out a little bit to increase the budget, but I think we've got a more powerful graphics card. So with this, we're going to go with the Sapphire Pulse Radeon RX 9060 XT with 16 gigabytes of RAM. This one comes in at £320 here, currently in the UK. And it's not an overly special card, it's only a dual fan, so potentially for those of you that are slightly more noise sensitive, you might want to go for a triple fan version. But certainly for the price at the moment, this is probably the best buy on the market. Now, obviously, again, if you just want to get the best bang for buck, you can get almost £100 cheaper and go with the Intel Arc B580. Now the B580 obviously doesn't have quite as much VRAM, doesn't have 16 gigabytes, but is pretty close, and certainly doesn't have 8 gigabytes, which I think is a mistake in 2025 for some people. Again, if your budget is limited, then for around about £230 at the moment, you can pick up the Intel Arc B580. Although with that does come some kind of warnings that potentially not all of your games are going to run as good as they potentially could do. At least with this, if you go with the AMD version for the Radeon, you know that the drivers are going to be pretty much bang on straight out of the box, and you're not going to have any issues with games not being fully supported. And as always, if you're happy to shop around or you don't mind having a used GPU in your machine, there are going to be other honourable mentions, such as the RX 6700 XT, which you can pick up for around about £220 to £250. And of course, there's going to be various others as well. The Radeon RX 6800s seem to be dropping in price as well, around about the £250 mark. Very powerful card, very good. And obviously there's going to be some NVIDIA options out there as well, depending what you want. But to get an NVIDIA graphics card with more than 8 gigs of RAM, you are going to have to hunt around a little bit. Now, to put all of this into a case, I've gone with the Montech AIR, the 903 Max. This is one which we've used on numerous occasions. It's a pretty great case. The only thing I would say that goes against it is potentially sometimes you may find that they've got a weird thing where the fans, they are a bit on the cheap side. They can get a little bit noisy. And sometimes the RGB controllers actually on the case can go faulty. I've had a couple of cases, I bought 4 of these cases, and of the 4, 2 of them actually had RGB controllers which failed. It isn't the end of the world. You can just plug in your RGB straight to your motherboard, or just pick up an additional hub or controller if you wanted to, so do bear that in mind. In terms of price wise, these I think are probably one of the best bangs for buck on the market in terms of cooling and size. Around about £57 here in the UK currently, which I think is a pretty decent price. Obviously you can go more expensive if you want to, go cheaper if you want to save some money. The options are pretty much limitless, but I think overall this is a very good choice and is one that I've used in numerous occasions. Now power supply wise, this is going to be one which not a lot of people are going to agree with, but I think it makes a lot of sense, especially of this kind of level of build. So we've gone with the MSI MAG A650BN, which is a bronze rated power supply. It's absolutely fine. The cabling is pretty good on it, quite slimline as well, easy cable management, has all the connections that we need for our build and also some additional ones. So if you wanted to upgrade your graphics card at a later date, you've got an extra PCIe cable on there as well. And also, like I said, it's got the flat black cables. Noise wise, very good, very quiet. Other honourable mentions as well, one which I've used previously, if it is still on offer, it's CCL here in the UK. You've got the Deepcool PL750D, so 100 watts more, and again, similar sort of noise profile, very quiet in use, and lots of cables on there. So that is available generally around about $49.99, so a little bit more expensive, but 100 watts more. But CCL have had offers on, and they potentially still will, where you can get an additional £10 off, so bring it down to $39.99, which I think is incredible value for money. We have actually done a separate video on that, which again, we'll try and link those in the video description as well. So there you go, there is the parts list. Again, this is July 2025 and things can and do change. We've just gone past the Prime Day deals, which there were some significant discounts on some things, although it wasn't quite as good as we've had in previous years. And in fact, some of the other distributors such as eBay and other places like CCL, eBuyer, etc. here in the UK have actually had some pretty significant deals as well. So it does really pay to shop around. And of course, we'll put some links in the video description so you can take a look at various pricing where you are. And also we should talk about the other option as well. If you don't mind going with maybe getting a used graphics card, you can level up your PC tremendously. So if you take what we've got here, so this is a Ryzen 5 5600, which is okay, it's fine, 16 gigs of RAM on a AM4 platform. We can actually switch that around by going over to AliExpress, getting a very cheap Ryzen 7 7700. Again, you can pick up a used graphics card, maybe a 6700 XT, which is going to save you a little bit of money, save you about £100. You can get 32 gigs of RAM if you're lucky for around about £50 to £60 DDR5, which again, you do have to shop around, but they are available. So if you don't mind shopping around and looking out for those bargains, you can, of course, if you want to, take advantage of our Discord chat, in which case we have got some bargain sections, and also we do have a dedicated eBay bot for picking up some of those last minute buy it now items, or something which has got like 15 minutes left and still hasn't reached a particularly high price. So you may find some bargains there. I know I do, which is why I end up with a lot of this stuff that we have here knocking around on the desk. So again, like I said, lots of options, lots of shopping around to do. Hopefully this list will give you kind of some ideas of what you can achieve for this sort of £700 budget. Now, I haven't mentioned a Windows license key. As always, if you've watched this channel for any time at all, I would strongly suggest heading over to premiumcdkeys.com. Use the discount code Mike's Unboxing and you can pick up a Windows 10 Professional license key, which will also activate Windows 11 Professional for somewhere around the sort of £3 mark, which is basically nothing. It's less than a cup of coffee in a lot of places. So if you want to pick up a license key, certainly I would suggest doing it there. Please don't buy retail ones because they're just ridiculously expensive. And these ones activate just as good as any others. And I've had a lot of success with them, as have many of our Discord users and watchers of our videos over the last 6, 7, 8 years, however long it's been now. So anyway, I've waffled on a little bit too long now. Hopefully I've given you some food for thought if you're looking at buying a PC at around about the £700 mark. Don't forget, do check out the video linked in the description for the live stream where we built the £700 AMD Ryzen 7 7700 PC. That one's an absolute cracker. That one I've actually got priced up to sell for around about £700 and it cost me, I think, £693 if we total it all up. So yeah, fantastic value for money. If you want to go for AM5, if you're on AM4, I think a lot of the stuff here is a very good value. And again, if you want to buy new, there aren't that many opportunities around at the moment. Things are getting incredibly expensive all around, so do look out for those deals. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap this video up. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, smash the like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, maybe consider hitting subscribe and also hit that chime notification. That way you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.